Namaste and hello. It is indeed my pleasure to be speaking to all of you today at such an important occasion. The Commission on the Status of Women, the 66th session of this being held today, and it is my honor to share with you some of my thoughts. Many years ago, Dr. Vera Rubin, the astronomer, who provided the first unequivocal evidence about the existing of dark matter, said, and I quote, "Worldwide, half the brains are in women, and there is no problem in science that can be solved by a man that cannot be solved by a woman." Imagine this. And the irony hits you hard, as half our world is female, and yet we are fighting to stem the gender inequality in fields that are pivotal in today's knowledge world. These are pivotal for India and our world in meeting the 17 SDGs in less than a decade. Undoubtedly, taking on challenges that face humanity today, be it climate change, building ethical and equal economies, or medical crises, they require that we as a race, together men and women, harness all the talent that we have available to us. Moreover, with regard to India, there is ample evidence to show that its economy could grow by an additional 60% or $2.9 trillion by 2025 if we can achieve parity between the number of women and men participating in the workforce. Now, while this may take longer due to the impact of the pandemic, it underlies the reality that an inclusive workforce is truly the secret mantra for a stronger economy. On the subject of STEM, currently India is looking at a paradoxical situation where women are studying STEM subjects, but there are not as many women in STEM careers. This is validated by the fact that India has more graduates in STEM, women graduates in STEM at 43%, compared to many developed nations like the United States with about 34%, UK with about 38%, Germany with 27% according to World Bank data. And yet, a mere 14% of India's scientists and engineers and technologists across its research and development institutions are women, highlighting a glaring gender gap. There are many reasons that are cited to explain the gap, but none of them is a challenge that cannot be resolved. And as we study in multiple areas and look at multiple initiatives, I just want to talk about a few. Of course, India has a cultural and a historical gender stereotype, and for eons it's been believed that domains that require intellect of this nature were only for men. But this is being broken down steadily. There's also an important need to increase the infrastructure of STEM courses for women, because at present very few colleges reserved for women offer STEM majors, and this could be a barrier for young female students coming from some religions or some parts of society. Likewise, role models are particularly important to empower young women grappling with the societal basis, and India has an amazing list of true role models, be it Dr. Sumati, who was instrumental in the development of Covaxin, Dr. Tessie Thomas, the Missile Woman of India, Dr. Ritu Kharidal of India's Mars Orbiter mission, or my dear friend Kiran Mazumdar Shah. I've mentioned just a few names, but there are many, many more, and we must encourage our champions in stemming the gender gap. A Workforce Insight study found that 81% of Indian women in STEM jobs perceive gender bias in performing evaluations, and also importantly that women tended to drop out during childbearing age or mid-management level. Here again, to support young mothers, all we need to do is walk the talk about inclusion and about creating a support ecosystem through flexible work models. And it is important for us to note that the pandemic has busted the bias against flexible work models, because work from home and hybrid work culture, which are so critical to bring women back into the workforce, these can enable a sea change, and I believe that this is our greatest opportunity. At FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce, we have a dedicated initiative towards empowering women We call this the greater 50%. And in a call to action report to the government, we called upon many initiatives, whether it was enhancing the number of dedicated STEM-related courses for women, the ability to create more inclusive work environments, and we had a checklist of women-friendly organizations and touched base with 2,300 work sites and shared with them these simple steps towards a more equal working environment. Besides this, the call to action report spoke about equalization of pay. It critically brought about the fact that while there are a large number of STEM qualified women, there are not enough women in leadership positions in STEM environment or industry. Taking an example close to my environment or the healthcare space, about 75% of the workforce in healthcare is women. However, only 22% of the leadership positions in healthcare are held by women. So it is important for us to identify, to encourage, to bring forward the power and the capability of women across the spectrum, especially in STEM. Further, to challenge stereotypes, women too must be motivated to create their own networks and to be comfortable with their femininity. It is no longer important to look like a man, dress like a man, or behave like a man to succeed in the work environment. And it is these women who we can call upon to say, let us be women, but be able to perform at the workplace on equal par with any man. And therefore, we are celebrating as many as we can of women role models and breaking the stereotypes. So in sum up, there's an immediate need to invest in supportive infrastructure, to incentivize institutions to promote gender equity, to create transparency in decision making, to enable a bridge-like environment, whether it is a hybrid work system, to enable women in the childbearing years not to miss out in their career progression, and many such efforts required to bridge the gender imbalance. Science emanates from a universal curiosity that makes all of us human, asking questions that are common to all. This inherent actuality calls upon us to build responsible, inclusive, transformative, and accountable science and technology ecosystems that are free from bias and discrimination. I think this is an important opportunity in the entire history of time for us to dream of this inclusive society and encourage women in STEM education. We are doing everything we can across industry, from FICCI at my parent organization, Apollo Hospitals, to encourage women in STEM and women in leadership. And I believe that these steps will make a difference in reducing the bias, reducing the gender imbalance, and in helping for a more equal world. And finally, making a potent reality that demands all of us to commit to making a concerted effort towards this vital shift can be summed up in one very powerful line, which I think our Prime Minister said, that I'm not looking for development in India, I'm not looking for the development of women in India, I'm looking for women-led development. So that is truly our future, that is the possibility of our country, our heritage, and therefore a more equal world. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Namaste.